Right now, I'm sickened. Welcome to Riot City, first of all. Second of all, you better listen to 3 Count Podcast. Oh, by the way, Showtime, Jeremy Grimes.
Weighing in at an unbelievable weight that you might hate, but you can't even
Dang, high pass, where'd you find that drag ball at?
Welcome everybody to another great edition of the 3 Count Podcast presents Now Entering the Ring. I'm your host, Clifford Red Dog Miller. That's right, this man that leads you up this mountain called wrestling. You can call me your Sherpa, but like every good Sherpa, you gotta have a person who's been there, done that, and does it more efficiently than you do. So it's never about me, it's about who's entering the ring. And before we talk about who's entering the ring, you will hear a voice. Is disembodied. If you're watching this on YouTube, you'll see a picture of him. But he is here. Give it up for the host of the 3 Count Podcast debate show, Chaz the Don.
It's your boy, your nephew, your cousin. It's the Don, Chaz Evans. Cliff, I'm back on Now Entering the Ring, and I'm excited.
Oh, well, you have to be, because let's talk about it. So who's now entering the ring today? Well, this man came to us from CKCW, NEPW, PWR, ROW, RWA, VIP, and Wildcat Pro Wrestling, as well as Ring of Honor. He is 1/3 of the greatest man tag team champions. Let's just be upfront. This also man is a world television champion, a part of Ring of Honor, and he is the only person to be on this show and have won his match in the Red Dogs Power Rankings. Let's be real, because I just gonna be honest. It is the man himself, the leader of everybody's favorite promotion, Shane Taylor.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You goddamn right. Hell of an introduction. What's going on, boys?
Bruh, I cannot tell you. Okay, so every Sunday we do the Red Dogs Power Rankings that's live on the debate show, right?
Right.
So the match that you had with Prolific, right,
Uh-huh.
is the only indie match that has ever topped the rankings. So to have you on the show, I'm just a little bit of fangirling. I'm not gonna front. I'm like a front.
Hey, it's all right, man. It happens to the best of us. You know what I mean? No, that match was special to everybody involved because I have history with Tyree from Reality of Wrestling down here in Houston with Booker T, like you mentioned. And to be able to see him not only grow and learn when I was there with him, but to go off and do his own thing and carry that and help the guys around him, very similar to how I'm helping my guys, was fantastic, you know. So even the gear that he has that I sold to him, he's continued to buy more that's inspired by that gear. So it really was this sort of like everything coming full circle moment and match. And we still had to beat his ass, but it was great to compete against him on that level and just see what those boys could do. And they're great.
Yes. And we had them on the show. We met them last year, and then we brought them on our show, and we had a full conversation with those guys. And like, we consider them like our big brothers, even though like I know I'm older than both, like most of them. I consider those guys like my big brothers as well. So I'm like, yo, I genuinely get to have these great conversations with Tyree all the time. So I'm very mad appreciative of like the learning tree I get to sit under.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
For lack of a better term, the wrestling world is kind of like gang shit, right? Where you can be older than someone, but still be, well, the younger person can be the OG. You know what I mean? Like, depending on the experience that they have, the things that they've done, the places that they've gone, work they put in, you know what I mean? So, and I hate comparing it to that, but for people who don't understand it, that's what it is.
That's absolutely funny because before you came on, me and Cliff were chatting, and I said that very thing. I said, I always tell Tyree, I'm like, bro, you're an OG to me. He was like, no. I was like, nah, you're my OG. And I that's how I described it the very same way.
Mm-hmm. It's the easiest way to process for people who don't understand it.
Exactly.
They're like, oh, okay. You're like, all right.
Definitely. I get mad appreciative of just like being able to like like it's like we said, like learning, right? Because like even you mentioned, right, whether it's on the games or like even for me, like I'll be honest, I can't relate, but I could relate with the military because like
Mhm.
that's that's a big thing too. Like some of the guys that were in higher positions than me were also younger than me, but
Mhm.
also accumulated that knowledge to be able to pass down to me. So it's it's a weird but smooth transition that you can make from like the military to the wrestling world.
Very. And with my dad being, a drill sergeant first class for 20 years, like my transition from amateur wrestling for being an army brat to doing street shit growing up, all of it sort of prepared me for this in one way or another. So we laugh about it now when I talk to him because he's kind of like, you've been training for this your whole life. You didn't even know it. You know what I mean? But there were signs along the way, like when I got kicked out of preschool for wrestling and shit like that, that we kind of knew this was going to be, this was going to end up being, the career of choosing.
Well, that was going to be my question is how did you get into the sport? But clearly we see you were
Oh,
born and bred for this.
I mean, the story about how I got into it is pretty much like everyone else's. You watch it as a kid, you see your heroes, and you want to try to emulate that. Where mine differs is, I think most people saw wrestling as entertainment, whereas for me, what I wanted to do because of it was different. Because for us growing up, I probably lost 100 people by the time I was 12 or 13, been to like, over 100 funerals. So my perspective on the world was a little different, was a little numb to loss. But one of the few times that we never had to worry about if we were going to get that call or not was when we were watching wrestling as a family. And back then, there weren't as many pay-per-views. There were only like 4 big ones. I want to say it was like you had Mania, SummerSlam, Royal Rumble, and maybe King of the Ring or Survivor Series. I'm not really sure which one. But during those, each because where my family lived, we were all within a few blocks of each other. So each house would get like one pay-per-view a year, and whoever's turn it was would get food, would do the whole nine. Everybody would go there. So, in those moments, when we would watch wrestling, we were so immersed in it, not only because of what we were seeing on the TV, but the ability that it allowed us to sort of just turn our brains off and just be in the moment with everybody. And so I said to myself then, if there's a way for me to do that, especially for kids like me, if there's a way to bring them that, not only that entertainment, but that peace of mind when they're watching me on screen, then that's exactly what I want to do. And so here we are 14 years later on this crazy journey.
Yeah. And it's funny because like you brought it up. Like this is a thing where you watch wrestling, but you can turn your mind off and just enjoy what you're watching. And I just
Right.
it's a wild world out there. And you mentioned it right off the jump. So I'm very curious, like in the 14 years that you've been in the business,
Mm-hmm.
what's been the worst bump you've taken?
The worst bump I've taken? Shit. That's a very good question. Although I don't really take like crazy bumps. So that's hold on. Off the top of my head, I took a DVD in the corner from Brody King in our first singles match, and I hit it, and it was fine. But I felt like everything up from like the top of my head down to my feet cracked like when I hit. And I just remember saying right then, I was like, "That sucked." He's like, "You okay?" "Yeah, I'm good," but that sucked. And just being very aware that, oh yeah, I'm gonna be fucked up in the morning. Which we both were. But yeah, that's probably the worst one. But I don't take a lot of crazy bumps specifically because I want to do this as long as I can, and I'm not trying to end my career for no reason. But yeah, that's probably the worst one.
Yeah, I can like, and I'm turning 37 next year, and I like tell myself all the time like I want to make this work and last, and so I'm like, don't do anything wild. Just like
Mhm.
ground and pound, be a technician. Ground and pound is all you need to work on right now.
You look at a guy like Zach Sabre Jr., right? And where he's at, he could legitimately wrestle for the next 20, 30 years. No problem. You know
Right.
what I mean? Just with that
Yeah,
style,
yeah.
that pace, that technique. And as he gets older, it's only going to, what he does is only going to be more dangerous because now you've had that much more experience to do it. So he's going to be this old, wily vet that knows everything, has seen everything, has done everything, doesn't have to take risks. Like he's going to be Suzuki. Like if there's going to be someone who passes that or whoever, like when he's done and he hands that mantle off, like it's going to be Sabergoon. Like it's got to be, right? So yeah, man, like once you find your thing and you can make sure that it's a style that's going to allow you to have longevity, do it.
I like. Before I keep asking my questions, I just gonna give it up to my co-host, Chaz. Man, I know you got questions too.
I do. So I guess, well, this is for my partner. He was supposed to be on, but he wanted me to ask this question because
Mhm.
you got us doing this. He asked you on TikTok, and he asked about the hashtags on your post with his wrestling. So
Yeah.
that's what we started doing, and and it's worked. We've gotten a lot more exposure. We just wanted to know, like how do you get yourself, besides the hashtags, what else can you do to get yourself out there on a social media presence?
Honestly, a lot of that is where I struggle, but the beautiful thing about my team is everybody is better than me at something, whether it be uh body wise like Khan, business moves like Ron, uh keeping my mentality where I needed to be like Moses, or a combination of all of them like O'Shea, especially with the social media game. They've taught me a lot of stuff, and a lot of it is honestly peak times and gauging what gets the most interaction, live tweeting during certain stuff, and just sort of like staying on the pulse of what's happening and what people are talking about. That's really the thing that gets it going a lot of times. And then once you build that up, the people that you have following will be able to generate that interaction, whether you're doing it at peak times or not, because now you've built the fan base up.
I like that a
Yeah,
lot. That's
yeah, that makes sense. That makes
Mhm.
sense. Because you see a lot of stuff of like wrestling Twitter and what's going on, and like when you talk
Right.
about like the certain things, the interaction gets better. So you said about like your team, right? And it's
Yeah.
funny because you mentioned two names that I've been blessed to meet, and have had knowledge passed on to me, was O'Shea and Moses. And actually,
Yeah.
I talked to Moses yesterday, and I guess my next question is, you know, should you always like have a group, like not say like a group, but a team of people that to help you? I don't even know how to rephrase the question. Cause you can help me out. But how do you
I
go about?
I I I get what you're asking.
Yeah,
And there's nobody makes it in this sport by themselves. The notion that people do to me is asinine because you don't book yourself, you don't wrestle yourself, you don't fly yourself, you don't drive. Like, you know what I mean? Like
yeah,
there's you didn't train yourself. You know what I mean? Like there are people who help you all along the way. Having a good support system, having people around you that want your very best interest at heart, like the people that are going to be there for you and support you through all of this bullshit, like you definitely need them there. It doesn't necessarily have to be a faction within the wrestling world, you know what I mean? But having those people around you is um is paramount. Like that definitely needs to be something that happens, and you should surround yourself at all times with people who are doing better than you or who do something better than you, because then that pushes you to get better. If you're around a bunch of people and you're the best guy, you need to reevaluate your circle, right? Because a lot of times you are remaining stagnant while they may be learning, but you're not necessarily going anywhere, right? So it's always important to continue to be evolving, pushing yourself, and having those around you push you, because then you in turn get to push them. You know what I mean? Because like, for example, with the crews that I roll with, whether it be Keith Lee or Ray Rowe or my guys, like we're always pushing each other. There's always things that we say to each other or things that we talk about that push the next person to do to achieve that next thing or hit the gym the next day, right? Things that motivate me, you know, don't necessarily motivate the two of them, but I know them well enough to know, okay, well, this will get them going, or that'll get them going. So having the people around you, having that group, whether they're on screen or not, is very, very important.
Yo, I like that because, you know, like, it's funny because this is our show and we've legitimate, you know, we were talking beforehand, like Chaz and I, like we vibe off of each other. You know, we've been friends for like 3 years, but we've like created this whole thing, and like we travel the road together. We go to different spots, like we'll hit different shows and stuff, and we have our third, and we all, whenever we're training, we're all like vibing and learning off of each other and pushing each other to grind. But it's like we're all on different mindsets, but we're all like working towards like that same goal. And like that's the real part where like we all understand, like we can grind off each other and help learn, but eventually we're all going to have to ask for like that next level up and talk to that person and then grind with them and learn how to get better and then keep pushing the envelope. And it's just, that's why we genuinely want to go out and find people who have been in this way longer than we have, because you know, you only get like I don't know if you, but Proverbs 27:17 says, you know, as iron sharpens iron, so shall one man sharpen another. And I always look for that, better blade to help sharpen my skills up. And then, you know, Chaz is doing it on one side, I do it on the other. And then we find out that we're like elevating each other and pushing each other. And every once in a while we might punch each other in the face by accident and then not apologize about it. Sorry, I don't know what we're talking about, but yeah. So Chaz, what's your next question?
No. So my last question is you know, real trivia question. All right. Before match, you go into your phone, you have one album. What are you playing?
DMX, It's Dark and Hell is Hot.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I am finished.
I don't think there's a more complete album that's ever been made. The ability to have not only reflective thoughts in the prayers, but songs that'll get you amped up, songs that'll make you cry, songs that'll absolutely make you want to go out and fight a whole stadium by yourself. You know what I mean? Like it's he DMX to me is my GOAT, followed by Rakim and KRS-One, but that fluctuates daily. I mean, just because they're all just so incredibly talented at what they do and thought provoking. And so for me, if that's the one album that I get to choose, it's going to be that one.
God, that's such a great album.
That is.
It's
okay.
So
Off the script. What are your top 5 GOATs in rap? I'm curious.
Top 5 GOATs in rap: DMX, Rakim, KRS. And I look at things a little differently based off of not only just lyrical skill, but longevity in the game in which we talked about. And I don't understand how people couldn't pick a Snoop Dogg or a Jay-Z. You know what I mean? Like Eminem, yes. Obviously, like for lyrical sake, I'm gonna add Eminem and then put Jay-Z, and Snoop Dogg is an honorable mention at 6th. Only because those three have been this so long, stayed relevant, have been so good. Snoop has, you know, ingrained himself into mainstream America. Like
No,
when
yeah.
you can go from being a gangster in Long Beach to doing a show with Martha Stewart, you've made it, fam. You know what I'm saying? Like
No, facts. You're
he's
absolutely
done
right.
everything. Like he's got a show with essentially America's premier white woman. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that in any negative connotation, but like Martha Stewart is everybody's, you know, is middle America's mom, aunt, sister,
Yeah.
whoever. Like, but that is Americana to a T, you know. And there he is. You know what I mean? And of the two of them, she's the only one with the record. You know what I mean? So it is what it is.
I was like, yeah, Snoop went from making a splash with Murder Was the Case to making a splash on AEW, man. Like that guy.
I mean, he's everywhere. Like
He is.
once I started seeing him do like Nickelodeon shows, like doing collab like Big Time Rush, I'm like, all right, he's everywhere. He's everywhere. I saw a meme that said Snoop's already beat the game. He's just doing side quests now. And it
I seen that
it
meme.
made total sense. And I was like, oh yeah, like the game is done. He's already won. He's just like, let me just go fuck around and see what I'm doing over here. Let's go try this. Let's go try this. It's incredible.
Oh yeah. So just like Snoop, I know you've had kind of a long journey yourself, right? So I'm very curious that in this journey, what's been like one of the hardest lessons that you've had to learn?
The hardest question or the hardest thing that I've had to learn is really a two-part thing. Number one, everybody can't go with you. I'm a very loyal guy, and people that have helped me along the way, I want everybody to be able to come with me. But in wrestling, as in life, everybody's not meant to go on the whole ride with you, right? You've got portions where people are supposed to be there for you, and you've got times where they're going to have to go continue on their journey on their own way. Some people are not meant to take the ride with you. And that's one thing that I struggle with because I want to try to bring as many people up with me as possible. The problem is not everybody's meant to go, right? And you can't risk bringing someone who's not ready to go and then bringing everybody else down, including yourself, right? So we see that all the time in sports. Somebody will make it to the NBA or NFL and somebody in their entourage will do something stupid, you know what I mean? And cost them millions of dollars, you know what I mean? That's just how it goes. And then the second thing is everybody talks about, wanting people to be real, but in this sport, especially when you're doing business, you have to understand that everybody's not used to every type of personality, right? For me, even just recently, right? Within the last year and a half or so, almost 2 years, I had a situation where management, specific people in management, didn't like me, didn't like what I had to say, didn't like the things that I stood for, didn't like anything about anything that I was doing. And it got to the point where something was going to have to be done. Like, okay, either I'm going to ask for a release or something's got to happen, like, because this is going to get out of hand very soon. And so I confronted them about it because that's who I am. That's what I do. I'm not going to sit here and walk on eggshells around you. Like we're all fucking grown. You know what I mean? Like this is in high school. There's far too much money at stake to sit here and beat around the bush. So, and it went from everything to, I was unprofessional to I was hard to work with. And if you ask anybody in my 14-year career, I've never been hard to work with. I am, however, hard to take advantage of. That's where people get things twisted because you're not going to disrespect me. You're not going to take advantage of me. You're not going to just tell me anything and I believe it. You're not going to just put me in a position where it makes my career suffer or the people around me suffer. It's just not going to happen. So once people run into people like that aren't necessarily yes men, that they can't just toss their weight around and feel like, oh, well, don't nobody care about that shit this way. So those have been the hardest lessons for me, and not necessarily in a negative way, but in a way that says, okay, there's a line here. Like, you're gonna have to choose to be this person and accept everything that comes with that, good or bad. Like, if this is who you're going to be, this is your personality, this is what you stand for, then you are going to have to stand directly on that, no matter the success, no matter the repercussion. This is going to be who you have to be. And I'm very proud of that. So those would probably be the two biggest lessons: is stand on who you are and what you truly believe in, and everybody's not meant to take a ride with you.
Oh, I like that. That's like, that's great life lessons as well. Not just even just like for like the wrestling side of things. Like, yo, you're not writing that down in your book. You need to, because that's definitely gonna be my front page now.
Yeah, absolutely.
But to kind of make it a more lighthearted question, I need to ask this question. Not very many wrestlers, and I found this out recently, which has been kind of crazy for me, but not very many wrestlers will eat something before a show. But after that show, they got this full out meal plan. And I'm very curious, do you have a post-match meal? And if so, what is it?
It depends on where we're at, honestly. Especially like for most guys, you know what I mean? Like they're trying to still eat fairly healthy on the road. But if it's a situation where we've already just chalked it up to the fact that we're about to eat some bullshit, then if we're in Texas, gonna have to try to get Whataburger, or try to hit up a nice little barbecue spot. If we're on the East Coast, I know a lot of times that like the boys get Wawa or something like that. If we're in the Midwest, Northeast, you know what I mean, we'll get Sheets, something like that. Let me see. If we're on the West Coast, hit it In and Out or something like that. Even though I don't necessarily I don't see the big deal.
I hate In and Out. I used to live in LA, and
listen,
I never understood the hype.
I live in Houston, right? And they just put one near where I live. And so I was like, well, it's been years since I tried it. Let me go try it out. It is the most hyped, basic ass meal.
Thank you. I have legitimate evidence now. Shane Taylor said it on the 3 Count podcast.
Listen, for those who don't know, just rewind this back 15 seconds, turn it up louder so people in the back can hear.
Right.
What he said.
My
when
seriously,
bro, when they do the animal style, it's delicious. Like, I'm not gonna knock it. Outside of doing that, it's still good, but it's average. You know what I mean? Like, it's very mid, bro. Like, so, and it's not. It simply is what it is. It's not bad. It's just not all with all the hype. Like come on now. Like, it's just it's.
My night. Listen, dude, this has just made my night.
I'm just saying.
Because all my LA friends, like, they love it. They love it. And when I was living out there, they loved it. I was a Jack in the Box guy. Like, that's my play. But no, In and Out is like, it's cool. And the line all the way out into this road.
Right.
No.
And even with Jack in the Box, like, Jack in the Box has some good stuff, but it's like, okay, like we know what it is, right?
Right.
Like, but the way they hype it, you would think like God himself came down, toasted the buns, you know what I mean? Grilled these
absolutely
beef patties,
yeah.
like, to absolute perfection, you know, anointed the sauce himself and served it to you. And it's like, fam, it's just a burger. Like, it's okay. It's okay. It's not worth the hype. You know what I mean? Like, Cats from Cali were on it so hard. Like, I was like, I like if you put In and Out versus Five Guys wins hands down every day of
Yes.
the week,
Yes.
right? So I'm sitting there like they were talking about it like, and the first time I had it, like I'm about to have the burger experience of a lifetime. When I tell you I was so disappointed, like, like to the point where I was mad. Like I was like, bro, y'all sat here and hyped all this shit for all day. You know what I mean? And it was
Nah.
But a place, but to switch subjects real quick, a place that absolutely is good, and I will give credit to PJ Black for this, is Smoothie King. As far as
Yes.
like smoothies, I remember same thing. We were on a road trip, and he was asking about this. Like he had to have asked like 5 times within a span of like maybe 10 to 15 minutes or so. And to be honest, and I told him this, I was getting kind of hot. I was like, yo, if he mentioned Smoothie King again, I'm flipping. Like, so finally, I was like, hey, man, can we stop at the Smoothie King so we can get this man his smoothie so we can, just have this ride in peace? And everybody's like, yeah, okay, cool. We tried it. And when I tell you, I wanted to dislike this shit so bad, bro. I wanted it to be trash so bad, just so I could be like, bro, all this talk you've been asking, and this was terrible. That first sip, I was like, damn, it's delicious. Son of a bitch, it's really good. Damn, you know what I mean? I wanted to hate it, and now I drink it like all the time. So, shouts out to him for that. For bringing something in my life that I didn't know I needed. But yeah, he's the man too. But when I tell you, I wanted that to be so trash, just so I could just be like, boy, but I couldn't. Crushed it.
So all right, so we're gonna shift gears because we have 2 like big questions before we get into the second best segment of the 3 Count podcast. So my other question for you, man, is what advice would you give to up and coming wrestlers?
The best advice that I could give is stuff that we've touched on already. Excuse me. Have that support system around you. Have people that you trust around you, and ride with them all the way to the end. You're gonna have to have the utmost confidence in yourself, and I mean to a point where other people damn near look at you crazy for the amount of confidence that you have in yourself, because no one else is going to do that for you. You have to believe within yourself. And of course, you have to put the work in behind it. You can't just believe it, but you know that you have to put in the work and truly, on top of all that, believe wholeheartedly that you have the ability and the skill to go out there and be, the best at what you do. And understand that wrestling is a lot like sales. You're going to hear no 9 times, but before you get that one yes, right? And that can be tough for a lot of people to deal with as well, because there's a lot of rejection in this game. But when you listen to some of the stories of the greatest legends of our sport, at some point in time, multiple people told them, no, you suck. You'll never be anything. You know what I mean? People passed on Austin. People passed on Undertaker. Triple H almost, he wanted to pass on Cena, right? Like that's very well documented. But then he was like, hey, I'm glad he proved me wrong. I'm glad he did. You know what I mean? Like, so there's so many stories of the greats being doubted that, it's going to be, you're not going to experience something that they didn't experience. And if they could push through it, if they could persevere, if they could, have that fortitude to continue on, that's going to be something that you're going to need to possess. And if you can do that, put in the work, put in the time, and put yourself in a good spot, then this business can be very kind to you.
I like it. I like it a lot. So you've talked about how you traveled around, you've been to a lot of different locker rooms. So as a new guy myself, I need one do and one don't of the locker room.
One do that I still go by is I still greet everyone. And I don't mean just the wrestlers. I mean like anybody that I see. I don't care if we're doing stadiums and they work concessions. I don't care if we're in a ball field and it's, the guy who puts the lines on the field. I don't give a shit. Everybody there in some way, shape or form, puts us in position to be able to do what we do. Like everything is set up for us, right? The building is there, the lights are there, the ring is there. All we got to do is go perform. So we kind of, even though we have the most physically demanding job, like we have the easiest job because everybody's there for us. You know what I mean? So I always make a point, production people first and foremost. You know what I mean? I'll come in like, hey guys, what's up? What's up? Appreciate y'all. You know what I mean? And not from a place of like of obligation, but of genuine appreciation for what they do. Because a lot of people don't know, man. Like if you fuck around with production, they can make you look ass on TV. You know what I mean? So everybody just be cognizant of that. Like you want to make sure that the production people like you, because then they go the extra mile to make sure your stuff looks good. And the people at ROH and every other locker room that I've been in are absolutely incredible when it comes to that. They make us look fucking great. From promos on down on the line, just absolutely fantastic crew. And one don't. You should hear everybody, but you don't necessarily have to listen to everybody, if that makes sense. There's a lot of people in this sport who will be like, especially when I was coming up, like, I've been doing this. I've been in this business, kid, for 25 years. It's like, oh, okay, word. How many matches have you had though? Oh, about 300, 400. And you're like, fam, I had 400 matches in year 5. How are you 20 years ahead of me with the same amount of matches? Like some don't add up. You know what I mean? So a lot of people, will be in this game a long time, but really not have that much to offer you. So you kind of have to watch out for that. But while everybody should be heard, not everybody should be listened to. It would be differentiating between who that should be is something that you're going to have to work on amongst yourself and your crew. But that's where like older vets that or that you should listen to, that's where they come in. You're like, hey, so and so told me this. What do you think? And if they're like, fuck that dude, you know what I mean? You'd be like, oh, okay, like don't even worry about it then. But if they're like, yeah, this, maybe this part, maybe that part, maybe try this, like, oh, okay, cool. But yeah, those are things. Be aware and acknowledge everyone, and then you don't have to listen to everybody.
Yo, that's great. I like that. I'm just gonna be honest, man. I'll probably be hitting you up on the side and be like, hey, I heard this. What do you think?
Right. And like, and for a lot
No,
of
fact.
like,
That's the plan.
Right. Because a lot of it, like, there's a lot of people that I don't know, but like, if to them, if it seems right, you'd be like, okay, well, that makes sense, depending on what you're trying to do. And if not, you're like, no, that's fucking dumb. Like, no, don't do that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, don't listen to them.
Well, bet. So those are all my heavy hitting questions and Chaz's heavy hitting questions, but we got to get into the second best segment of the 3 Count podcast. And people ask, what's the first? And we talked about it to start the show. It is the Red Dogs Power Rankings that you can find on our debate show. But this is the 3 Count podcast, 10 count questions. And Mr. Taylor, this is how it works. I'm going to fire off 10 questions at you, rapid, fast. Whatever is your answer, that's your answer.
All right.
So we're going to put on the imaginary timer for added pressure. Bing! And here we go. Christmas or Halloween?
Christmas.
Favorite movie?
Oh, Coming to America.
Sonic or Mario?
Mario.
Favorite color?
Black.
Marvel or DC?
Marvel.
Favorite sport to watch?
Football.
Forearms or spine busters?
Forearms.
I know. I'm not even gonna front, like full transparency.
Yeah.
Yeah, I watch your forearms. I just love watching people die.
Forearms, baby.
Favorite podcast?
Favorite podcast? Damn. That's a great question. Shit, I'm trying to think of which. Rapid fire. Probably Busted Open right now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like I could have been cornered like this one. Like, you know what I mean? I'm like, no, it's not gonna be the answer. Like, not that this is great, but I'm like, that's just not what I do. But yeah, probably that when you have that many wrestling minds all in one spot, it's always going to be entertaining and a learning experience. So shouts out to Dreamer and Henry and Bully and LaGreca and all the guys over there, and ladies and whoever else is a part of it. Shout out to everybody.
So nominate one person that you want to see on this podcast.
The rest of the team, O'Shea, Ron Hunt, Khan, Moses, the whole crew.
Bet. And then last but not least, my favorite question to ask every single person who comes on this show: favorite curse word?
Fuck.
Yeah, the great F-bomb
Yeah.
is all that's needed.
It covers so much. It really does. It's so versatile.
Bet.
Yep, learn that from Bernie Mac.
Hey.
Yep.
So, hey, it can be a person, place, or thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
It's a noun. It's an adjective. It's a verb. You know what I mean? Give me an adjective. You know what I'm saying? It really is. It might be the most versatile word in the English language.
So we need people to go check out the history of the F word that you can find on YouTube, because that video will tell you everything you need to know about that word.
That's fantastic.
Yes.
I didn't even know that was a thing, but yeah.
Yeah. Cliff said that to me, and it blew my mind.
You know what? After we get done with all of this, I'll send you the link, and then you can tell me how awesome that video is.
Okay.
All right. So that is all the questions I have for you. The only thing I have left for you is, can you let our viewers and our listeners know where they can find you?
Of course. At Shane216 Taylor, that's Taylor. That's Twitter and Instagram. We got the Ring of Honor Shane T Honor Pals about to drop tomorrow live for the general public. So we're going to be hyping those and trying to sell those out as fast as possible. Perfect holiday gift for your little ones. Or for yourself, if you like wrestling collectibles and you get to go out there and wrestle and jump around on them and stuff like that, really dope, because I had them as a kid. The wrestling buddies I had, like Warrior and I think like DiBiase. So now to have one of my own is kind of surreal. It's pretty dope. But yeah, just appreciate all the love and support, not only for myself, but for the whole team. Thank you for an incredible 14-year career so far. And here's to, 14 more.
Bet. And there you have it. You know where to find him. So what does that mean? We got to take this home. It's time to wrap this up, which means this is the 3 Count Podcast presents Now Entering the Ring. And like I said, I am the man who leads you up this mountain called wrestling. That's right. Clifford Red Dog Miller, a.k.a. your Sherpa for this show. And like every good Sherpa, you got to have someone who's been there, done that, and can find you a more efficient way up the mountain. So like we said, Chaz is here with me on the show. You can't see him, but he is the disembodied voice. And then it's never about me. It's about who's entering the ring. You see him right next to me, STP and stuff. Shane Taylor is in the building and now in the ring. And guys, you know what to do. Tune into the next episode and be there, or you just wait for this episode to end. You wait for the outro and you pick another episode to listen to. Peace. What's going on, 3 Count Nation? I'm Clifford Red Dog Miller with the catchphrase. But what I really want to do right now, go to twitter.com, right? Go over there, find us at the 3count_pod, give us a follow, give us a like, give us a comment. We want to talk to you guys. Go to IG at the 3 Count Pod. give us a like, give us a follow, leave us a comment. We want to interact with you. Go to youtube.com, give subscribe, turn the bell on, turn the notifications, leave a comment. We want to talk to you. Go to anchor.fm/the 3 Count Podcast, and in there, you can leave us a message, and we will talk to you. Basically, what I'm trying to tell you is that we want to talk to you. We want to have fun with you guys, and we love listening to what you guys have to say. Also, one thing I need you to do for me, the 3 Count Podcast also has merchandise. At prowrestlingtees.com/the 3 Count Pod. Please go buy our t-shirts. We love you guys, and we hope you love us too. So, show us some support, please.